Coaches, Jason McDonald, 4360 Sports. Coach Robinson, what does it mean for Alabama State, who played in the first against South Carolina State, the first MEAC SWAC challenge over in Birmingham, to return to this game after so, it didn't work out well, as they said, but the cover isn't there in Hornets land. Can you talk about what you're planning to do this season?
Yeah, I think with us, it all starts with the offensive line. We have a lot of big guys coming back. Robert Austin, who was a second-team all-conference guy. Ray Curry, guy that's transferring in. Tito, big guy, Stafford. So we got a lot of guys who played, got a lot of games under their belt. So offensive line is going to get us going. Of course, we're going to do a lot of RPO, running the football, but also, it's the SWAC. We like to throw the ball in the air. We're going to put points in the board. We're going to get off the bus throwing it. My offensive coordinator, he's a go-getter. He wants to put points on the board. So for us coming here, it's a chance for us to showcase what our season's going to be about. I texted kids this morning, so ironically, when you said 60 days, hey, 60 days until we play hockey. And so everybody's excited. We're working hard. And just a chance to have our fans to come and see what we're going to be about in 2022.
Thank you, Coach. Next question. We have another question here. Okay, well, actually, let's come over here and then we'll come back to you, sir.
Ernest Race, MTNB Sports. This question is for both coaches. What are some of the strengths and weaknesses of your team, right? What are some areas of strengths, and then areas where your team can really improve that you can see or observe after spring workouts? Right? What are some of those things that you'll be working on going into the season?
Yeah, I'll go first. For me, I think our biggest weakness, we had 4 interceptions last year, so we didn't have enough turnovers. So we're stressing turnovers. It's football. So the idea is to get your hands on the ball every chance you get. So defensively, I think that's our biggest thing, is to try and create turnovers.
Thank you.
I would follow along what the coach just said. For us, is we didn't turn the ball over enough and take the ball away and put our offense in better situations. And I think we got to really shore up and be better on our special teams. Special teams are the biggest differential, that play the biggest differential in the game. That's where all the hidden yardage lies sometimes, and people don't realize how important it is to always reserve the right to kick the ball, whether that's a field goal or whether that's punting the football. So we just have to shore up our special teams, which comes with young players becoming better football players, becoming more aware of how to play the game, tackling well, what it means to play great special teams, and understand the scheme and the philosophy behind it. So just more buy-in on special teams wise, playing better, using our athletes in better position to do that, and taking the ball away.
Thank you.
Keisha J. Kelly, Black College Experiences, Tenitra said. This is for Coach Scott, for Howard. My question is, as she stated, she signed the highest recruiting class. And of course, this is Howard's first appearance. Do you feel any pressure with signing that highest recruiting class to turn it up a notch?
No. Pressure is something that in football, if you can't deal with pressure, I don't think you will find yourself in a position to be successful at what you do. I think you have to find a way to bottle that up, and what that means is you reduce pressure by preparation. So what we do is we do a really good job of making sure our young men understand the daily process that it takes. So when you do arrive at that stage, you're well prepared. There's no jitters, there's no worry, there's no concern. So preparation reduces pressure. Just getting every one of those young men prepared on a daily basis. What does it take to win the day? And keep your focus right there. What does it take to win on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday? When we get to the game, the byproduct as a result of that is the work that we put in the years and days before that. So preparation removes pressure. There's no pressure with that. We want to sign the highest rated class every year, so bring the pressure.
Thank you, Coach.
And so now we'll actually move to virtual questions, and then we'll get back to you here locally as well. So Michelle, do we have any questions from our virtual media?
Yes.
Thank you.
Next question is coming from Dr. Camille with Inside HBC Sports. Go ahead, Dr.
Championship, see record games of a regular institution. Bowling has multiple
think he's referring to, been talking to him, of course, everybody knows the deal. I think, you know, coming out of spring practice, and I kind of, you know, taking over as a new coach, I kind of put everything into four quarters. You know, football players, we like regiments, so it's something that we can relate to. So, of course, that first quarter was that January, February, March, getting everything in shape, ready for spring, and of course then was spring practice, and now this is the third quarter, which is the summertime, and of course then you have the fourth quarters when the game starts. So the way I break it down to the kids, it's just like a football game. You don't play well the first 3 quarters, the fourth quarter you're hoping for a miracle, you're hoping to get lucky, and that's what we can't plan. We can't plan on trying to get lucky or just going out there off enthusiasm, because everybody else is working out. So we have quite a few kids on campus right now that are working out, most of them in summer school, and understanding the whole nature of playing in a week 0 game in South Georgia. It's going to be a little bit hotter than DC. I was hoping it would have been like 3 o'clock, but you moved it to 7, so we had to work with that. So and I think being down here in the South, we know how it can get hot. I mean, we know once we walk outside what it's going to be like. So making sure that the kids are in shape, already acclimated, of course, the strength and conditioning. And the biggest thing is, you know, everybody has so much enthusiasm, you don't want to have any of those phantom injuries during the summertime. So you want the guys to get better. They do a lot of one-on-one stuff, a lot of volunteer stuff, and the kids are committed to work out. But the biggest thing is just keeping everybody healthy and ready for week 0.
Yeah, for us it was, you know, different set of challenges. You know, taking the job February of 20. We had to spend the whole year doing everything virtual. So when you have a whole year of a football team that we haven't been around, that only been around them probably about 2 weeks before everything shut down for us in DC. And we had to find a way to build a virtual season. And it was, for me, it was dipping into a virtual world that we, a virtual space that we didn't have a whole lot of knowledge of, but it was a space that our young people were comfortable. So you learned a lot about those young men and trying to instill the philosophy and build the foundation of the football program and do it virtually. So that was a challenge, one of the biggest challenges I've ever had as a coach. And to come back and try to play the spring season in the winter in DC wasn't a lot of fun either. All right, you go out and there's you know 2 inches of snow on the ground, and we're shoveling snow to find yard lines and do those things to try to get some work in to try to improve this football team and find out just what it is that we do have. Was a huge challenge. We played 2 basically what I would still consider in the SWAC games against Delaware State, where we still did not know who we were, what we had, and more importantly, where we needed to go. And then after that, we have to send them home. We're in a situation where we don't necessarily get the advantage of having our young men the entire summer to train them and do those type of things, but we do get the second summer session, which for us just started on Monday. So we had a group of young men come in and kind of train on their own a little bit previous to that, but to have them come back yesterday and start our summer session 2 is huge for us. But you know, this is the first year that we have a chance to brand our philosophy, brand how we play football. Brand who and what we are, and that's because it's the first time we've had a full spring season.
In Charlotte, right? Yes.
Sorry about that, Coach.
Yeah.
But thank you so much, Coach Larry. Thank you, Coach Eddie. On virtual, we ask you all as well, just in case that is some feedback coming from your end versus ours, which I suspect it is. If you guys will mute yourself, except when you are asking your question, we would greatly appreciate that. That certainly is a respectable thing to do for both those who are joining virtually and those who are online, but more importantly for our coaches who are giving us some time here today. So again, coaches, thank you guys for just being able to flex in that moment. Appreciate it. And Michelle, do we have one more question virtually before we come back to the floor? Okay, back to the floor.
Okay, Jason McDonald, Coach 360 Sports Associate for Coach Scott. You may not have known, I think you were still playing football, but the last time Howard was in Atlanta, they played Morris Brown, not too far from here. And they were it was like a 49, 18, 15 game. What is your philosophy to restore that high-scoring ball type of offense that Howard was known for, and guys like Jay Walker flourished in?
Wow, that's a really good question. That starts with people, right? That starts with personnel. So doing a great job of evaluating and going and recruiting and bringing in the very best players that you can. For me, I've been in systems where we've been able to score a lot of points in the SEC and do those type of things. So scoring points in football is no stranger to our system and our philosophy of how we do things. So it's making sure that you got the right people in place, because in the end, you can have all the great schemes and plays you want to, but players make plays. So you have to go out and make sure you bring in the right young men that fit the system. We're not a fit a square peg in a round hole type of deal. We want to evaluate our personnel, put the right people in the right position to go do that, and hopefully that gives us the results that we want. But it starts with the personnel, and we'll be able to do that, I promise you. That's what we've done a good job of.
Thank you, Coach. Any other questions from the floor?
Okay, this is for Coach Robinson. I'm sorry, Keisha Kelly, Black College Experience. While you were playing, you did earn the nickname, I went with Steady Eddie. What are you doing with your players now to teach them the same things that you have learned as far as preparation and skill on the football, as far as being great players and great men?
Okay, good question. So, yeah, Steady Eddie, I was one of those guys. I played 11 years in the NFL, and I was one of those guys, the unsung hero. I was there on time, not early, like the coach, pretty much acted as a coach, helped coach the kids that.
Husband had a press conference today.
Excuse me, Coach, we have an interruption. Once again, virtually, we appreciate you guys for joining us, and we appreciate that you might want to entertain us, but right about now, we really want to give all of the floor and all of the attention and energy to the coaches. So we'll just ask you kindly, once again, if you are joining us online, to please mute yourselves so that we will not have to mute you all. Thank you so much for that. Coach Eddie.
Yes. So I was that guy that was reliable and consistent. So and that's what we're preaching to the guys. You know, it's three things that I tell them: is attitude, effort, intelligence. And you know, attitude is just coming to work every day, being positive. We're around these kids every day, so we're seeing more than their parents. We talk to them. You know, my phone may call at any time of the day or night, and the kid has a question that's important to him, so I have to pick it up and answer it. Because it's important to me if it means something to him. So I think giving the kids the feedback to knowing that they can trust us and care about us. I think if you don't like kids and you don't generally want to be here, then it's not going to work. So I think once my coaches kind of get the kids to buy into that, we have a relationship with them, then it goes to the effort part. You know, we want kids who are going to play hard, then intelligence, play smart, and the smart is on and off the field. The biggest thing is you can't start being a disciplined football team on Saturday night. The discipline starts going to academic practice, going to study hall on time, you're making sure that you're at the meetings on time, you're at the mandatory list. So all of those things, that's when the discipline starts. Then it shows up on Saturday. So that's what we're pushing with the kids. You know, be disciplined in everything you're doing, attending all classes, all games, those type of things. And then it goes over to football. We know you can play football, you wouldn't be on campus if you couldn't play football. So we're trying to see what type of character you have. And in the long run, that character development, that's going to take them way further in the football world.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks, Coach. And you speak of being a student athlete, so that's that piece when we talk about not just the athlete part, but the student part. Thank you so much for that. And we'll come back to our questions here on the floor, but let's go back to our virtual media team, and we have a question.
Good morning, everyone. Stephen J. Gaker from HBCU Game Day. Just wanted to ask both coaches, obviously your first time coaching in this game, and you're coaching your individual teams, but it is the MEAC SWAC Challenge. For both coaches, just talk about representing your conferences. For Coach Scott, the MEAC has kind of dominated this thing. I'm sure you want to keep that going. And then Coach Robinson, obviously, you know, stop that streak and start another one. But what does it mean to represent the conferences, you all as well as your programs?
I think for us it means to keep the streak alive. You know, I think the last two games have been won by the MEAC. The record right now is 11-4, and we don't want to be the team that stops that positive momentum and keep that going. So just for our young men to have a sense of urgency of what that means, you're not only carrying the brand that is Howard and our philosophy and who we are as a football team, but we're representing our conference as a whole. And that has to mean something. And so just the education behind that, and to get them to play that way, you have to educate them. You have to take them through the history, take them through what it is and what this opportunity means as the first time for us. And then to have an opportunity to play in week 0 and be one of the first teams to play college football. It is important to, and it's a big deal. And what better brand, what better time, and what better stage for Howard University to, you know, put that all out there for everybody to see. We've been working hard, and it's that time.
Yeah, well, for me, I think it's we want our kids to take it personal. You know, having played in the SWAC and been around SWAC football, growing up in New Orleans, watching, the legendary Eddie Robinson, which I'm no relation to, and actually I took some summer classes at Xavier, so I know exactly where Xavier's at. And so to me, it's a personal experience because, I kind of live and breathe the SWAC. And so it's always been, in my opinion, that the SWAC is the better football conference over the MEAC. However, if you look at the records the last couple of years, what the records say you are. So I can't say that today, but we want to definitely turn that around. And just from SWAC MEAC Challenge and even more importantly, that Celebration Bowl at the end, you were telling our kids we want to start and end our season in Atlanta. And so, and that's our goal. And so, as much as we want to fight Jackson State as Alabama State alumni and fans, once it comes to we're playing outside of the conference, we're 100% rooting for every SWAC school. So I think it's one of those things where we're playing for Alabama State, but we're playing for the conference, and we have to kind of restore order because the SWAC is the preeminent HBCU conference in the nation. So I'll tell you a quick story. Back in '91 when we had our undefeated season, we played in the Heritage Bowl, which is the first Heritage Bowl down in Miami. We played North Carolina A&T, by the way. I'm sure you remember that game. So, it was battle of the SWAC versus the MEAC. First time they put a bowl game together, so everybody had the super excitement and everything. And so my head coach, Coach Markham, who's deceased, to show you the type of camaraderie the SWAC coaches had, he allowed W.C. Gordon to come speak to us before the game. And not only that, he allowed Marino Chasm to come speak to us before the game. And finally, he showed up with the legendary Eddie Robinson Jr. to speak to us before the game, in the locker room. And so if you talk about, the SWAC coaches of old understanding that it's SWAC above everything, and A&T didn't have a chance after we heard those three guys speak. And so we went on to win that game, but I think that's where we have to get back to, that SWAC football, as much as we're going to go at each other with the member institutions, when it comes to playing outside the conference, we're always rooting for those SWAC schools.
All right, we're going to come back to the floor. Go ahead with your question.
Christina Maxwell with NC Sports, and my question is for Coach Ray Scott.
How do you?
Again, with the Bison's playing in the Classic for the first time, what does this type of exposure mean for the players in the program?
It means a lot. And I think the whole idea of educating them again on what it means to do it carries some weight too. You just can't show up at football games of this magnitude on this stage and not understand the importance of it and what it means. Is that supposed to tense you up or give you any concern? No, because we're built for it. We're built for this stage. That's what we've been doing. That's our brand. That's our philosophy. We've recruited that way. We've instituted our philosophy and built our foundation of our program that way to have this stage, to have these opportunities, to make sure we're prepared for these opportunities inside and out. So I think just to educate them on the importance of the magnitude of it, because this will probably be the biggest stage that any of these young men have had a chance to step onto. And that's big, that's memorable. That's why you come to Howard. That's why you play in this conference, and that's why you want to be a part of this game. And kind of a little bit of what Coach said. For us, our philosophy is, and our mindset this year is to start here and end here. So Atlanta, this will be hopefully the last time we see this.
Thank you, Coach. We're actually going to go back to virtual for one more quick question from our virtual media.
Good morning. This is for both coaches, but Coach Robinson, you mentioned earlier that the SWAC is the preeminent conference that you believe it to be, but the record speaks for itself. My question is to each of you, even though you mentioned it earlier, how can Alabama State turn things around, and also on the other side for MEAC, since the record does speak for itself, can you say that the MEAC always comes out with a chip on the shoulder to say that, yes, the SWAC is supposed to be the preeminent conference, but yes, the record does speak for itself, and we are 11-4. So is it just that the MEAC just comes out with a chip on their shoulder, or what is it? Coach?
Well, for me, I think that's the best thing about football. Unlike if you had a job as academics, or say if you were the weatherman or sportscaster, basically you can give your opinion and you're always right. All right. Or you can basically try to talk your way through it and kind of BS your way to being right. The best thing about football is at the end of the day, the scoreboard is going to say who's right and who's wrong. And so I think that level of accountability for two former athletes, we want to be able to go out there and earn it. We don't want it to be subjective. We don't want to have a red paper or someone's opinion of it. We go out there and play the football game and see who's the best team in the best conference. And I think that's what's exciting about it. You put a lot of hard work into it, and I don't think the average fan realizes how much effort goes into preparing for one game. So for right now, we can't even look at anybody else past Howard. We have a great schedule that I won't talk about today because we have one game that we're looking forward to. That's Howard. So that's our singular goal, is to win the first game. And I know Coach has that same attitude. And that's what makes football so great, is that you gear everything up and you put all your energy into 1 week, and then regardless of how it ends up, you have to get back at it and go forward to the next week. And so, but right now, yeah, you just have to go out there and play the football game. If the SWAC feels like we're the conference that we say we are, then we have to go out there and play, and we have to win football games. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, I think the question of it being a natural, a chip on your shoulder, I think absolutely there is. At the end of the day, whatever edge you have to find within yourself, within what you represent, to try to be your best on that particular day, you find it. You dig for it and you find it. That's our job as coaches. And each and every time, we can get the swag is a little different, the bravado is a little different on the other side. We get it. But at the end of the day, the record speaks for itself, right? The numbers speak, and that's what it is. Like Coach said, at the end of the day, when two teams step on the football field, it's about when there's 4 zeros left on the clock and what both scores indicate. That's what it is. That's the bottom line. That's just how it works. So at the end of the day, I think the conference does carry a natural chip. And with Howard, we get a double whammy because we have a natural chip on our shoulder. So we're all with that. I can't wait till the day we get it on the grass, put the ball down and spot it, and let's go play football.
And we have time for a few more questions, so we'll start here.
Vicki Jones, VMH Magazine and Sports. My question is related to celebrities and their support, which has always been, but HBCUs and student athletes. P. Diddy, during BET Awards, he kind of alluded to 2 things. One, HBCU support, and HBCU student athlete support by donating $1 million to Howard University, which he attended, and then he donated another $1 million to Deion Sanders, which speaks to HBCU student athletes and the conference. How do you both feel about celebrities and their support on national stage when he's receiving a Lifetime Achievement Award and making sure the world sees, hey, this is what we're doing. We're supporting HBCUs and HBCU student athletes through those 2 donations that he gave.
So I think for me, when you're talking about HBCUs, you're talking about all of the distinguished alumni, whether they're football players or throughout acts of life, politics, arts, entertainment, everything. HBCUs have produced some of the most dynamic professionals in every theater that we can talk about. So I think it's just a natural fit that the entertainers would want to participate and believe in what we're doing at the HBCU level. And it's not just football players. I mean, we're turning out student athletes and professionals. I was a chemistry major. Most of my classmates are doctors now. So I feel like I was the underachiever who went into professional football, but academically they far surpassed where I was, and they're still doing a great job at it. And so for me, I look at when I'm talking to kids and I'm trying to get them to attend Alabama State, if I see that the conversation's not going to where I want, and obviously they want to go to a different university besides the one I'm trying to talk them into coming to, and that's if they're a student athlete or not. My biggest thing is stay SWAC and stay black. I'm always pushing to go to a different SWAC school, I'll play against you, or go to another HBCU like Howard and we'll play against you then. But I want all of the talent, the athletic talent and the intellectual talent to go to the HBCUs. And I think that's where we started at. And and I think we're moving back into that trajectory again, and I love it. You know, I have nieces and nephews who went to Alabama State, a son that's at Alabama State, you know, other nieces and nephews who went to Langston and other HBCUs, so I'm always going to push kids to attend black colleges.
Also, I feel like whatever stage you have an opportunity to stand on, you should represent what you feel like means something to you that gives you a chance to make an impact. I think each of us are all challenged with the idea of finding what it is that we can leave a legacy of, or that we can make an impact to and through to, you know. I think, so whatever stage that is for you, whether you're P. Diddy on earning a Lifetime Achievement Award as an entertainer, whether you're a physician, whether you're a lawyer, whether you're a football coach. At the end of the day, you have a platform, and whatever that biggest platform is, please speak to your legacy. Please speak to the impact that you want to leave on the young people that you get a chance to touch on an everyday basis. And it just so happens that we're living in a time where HBCUs are at the focal point of that. And so why not, as a professional, take and being the elite of who you are in this country that makes an impact every day, why not take that stage right now at this critical time in our country's history to make that impact, to leave that legacy for yourself and stand forward to it and speak to it loudly and boldly every day. So I think it's awesome. I think it's about time, and I think we all need to continue to do that in our various lives and our various aspects that we have, that we get a chance to leave an impact and have to create a legacy for ourselves.
For you both, we have time for just 2 more questions.
Good morning, I'm Amber McBride,
Yes,
MCMB Sports, and my question is for Coach Scott. In what ways do you believe your coaching experiences are similar and different at Howard University opposed to BWI like Miami or Clemson?
You know what, that's a really good question, because when you get a chance to be a football coach and leave an impact on a young man's life, you don't care whether that's Jones Junior High, you don't care whether that's the Little League Saints in the Little League Park, or that's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You really don't care. You're going to approach your job the same way you would approach it in any situation. So I'm very thankful and blessed that I've had the opportunities that I've had to coach in the SEC, to coach in the ACC, to coach in the Big East, the old Big East, to coach high school football, because that's where it all started for me. So for me, I'm blessed to have the opportunities I've had, and I don't approach it any different anywhere, nowhere, no matter where I'm at. So what our kids are getting and what we're implementing, our foundation, our philosophy is everything that I know. And I've been fortunate to be around some really good football coaches that have done it at an elite level, both recruiting, mentoring first, and coaching and development. So I'm taking a little bit of all of that from every experience that I've had, and I'm pouring it all into our young people at Howard. And so does every coach on our staff. That's why it was important to me. Sure, I brought the right people in, because at the end of the day, buildings don't build football players. Buildings don't build great people. People build people. So at the end of the day, putting the right people in the right situations to impact our young people and pour into them each and every day was important to me. It's critical to me, and I think that's what we're doing in our program, and that's why we're going to build it. So all of that doesn't make a difference, whether it's PWI or Little League or whatever. It's about making an impact and doing your job the same way every day and leaving an impact and a legacy for these young people.
Thank you.
One more question? All right.
You're holding on to what you said. This is for both coaches. The NIL, how do you plan to incorporate that into your program to recruit some of the higher ranked athletes? That's one for Coach Scott. What would you tell alumni, who's your donor, what the plan and vision is for the program? And the last one for Coach Robinson. Your father, arguably the greatest HBCU coach of all time, top 10 ever. How do you navigate that pressure to being at the following his footsteps?
So we got 3 questions in one. So we'll just ask in the interest of time, coaches, if you guys can just answer quickly one of those questions, and then we'll wrap. However you all want to answer it.
I think you asked what the plan was to unite the.
Well, basically, since we have time for one, how do you guys plan to incorporate the NIL now to maybe recruit some of the high-ranking athletes?
Okay, NIL starts with everybody. First of all, that's what we got to all start to realize, is that one coach and one program can, institute that. We need our alumni, people who step forward with that are business owners, corporate America, and those types of things that are in that realm to want to take an active part in what that is and what that looks like for us as we shape it and build it and try to turn it into what it can be impactful for Howard for. I know our young men are very savvy financially when it comes to those type of things, and some of the conversations we've had with that have been still geared towards making sure we don't de-amateurize ourselves as we continue to build and make sure understand the importance of still earning that degree and walking across the stage first. So we look at things from deferred compensation to being creative with building yourself through, what your charity looks like, what you're, building, buildings for them and building corporations for yourself to become an entrepreneur and different things like that. Using the time at Howard to not only brand just yourself, but to use the Howard brand, which is a very powerful brand, to build the next 40 and 50 years of your life as you outline what that looks like. It's not about the just here and now going buying Jordans and getting an apartment and driving cars. It's not about that. It's about the longevity that this brand and this opportunity for young people that you have now with name, image, and likeness to build the next layer, the next chapter, the next book of your life. So we're taking it a step further than just the now, and we're trying to make it something that's a holistic approach and mindset towards our young people.
Yeah, so first of all, I'm not related to Coach Eddie Robinson, the legend. Definitely a mentor of mine. I knew him personally, but played against him. He beat me, we beat him, so it was a lot of fun. But I guess to start off with the NIL, like Coach is saying, that's something we do have a Hornet Alliance that's set up, that alumni set up, and something that we're participating in, and also want our alumni to donate to. We have a fundraiser tonight. We have a coaches tour that's in Atlanta because we have an alumni base here. So look for me afterwards if you want to attend that, if you're not already RSVP. But I think the biggest thing is, like Coach is saying, you want to teach the young men that, whether it's NIL, whether it's cost of attendance, which this will be our first year of starting cost of attendance at the university for scholarship athletes. So we understand that, we do have a lot of kids who may come from Florida or come from other places, and just to have the basic aspect of, hey, you want to go out and have dinner with your friends, or you want to maybe travel home for Christmas and not have the financial strain. So, those are the purposes of trying to help kids out. We can't make the assumption that every kid that goes to college that's on athletic scholarship has two parents at home and they have the wherewithal and the financial ability to give the kids, financial resources and everything like that. So every kid is in a different and unique situation. I'm sure Coach can kind of, explain that same thing too. So we're looking at each individual kid and try to figure out, how can alumni help those kids? And it's happening at the bigger school and at the HBCU level. It's a good chance for us to really say, hey, if you want to give back to the schools and give back to the individual student athletes, I think this is a great way to do it. And I think everybody has to realize that we're putting the money into the programs, the schools are, but then as fans, we can't just be cheerleaders. We have to write checks also. And we have to donate back to our universities, and we have to do it. We are the graduates of the HBCU, so it's our turn to donate back and to give, not just to the schools, but also to the NILs and to the individual student athletes.
Thank you. So